Hi, my name is Donaldson. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, certified weight loss coach. And today we're going to talk about how carbohydrates affect our insulin levels and why this is such an important part of your nutrition to pay attention to. So first, let me introduce you to your body in living flannel color. We're going to use this cute flannel board to explain how our bodies work. This red part is going to represent your blood that's circulating through your entire body. This white circle right here represents a muscle cell. And if you put a bunch of muscle cells together, then you have a muscle tissue. And our muscle tissue needs energy to survive and to do its job for you, to move you through life, to work, to play, and so on. What you might not know is that inside of your muscle cells are these chemicals dressed up as purple guys. These are little glucose or sugar receivers, and it's their job to actually pull sugars in from the blood to the muscle cells to give them energy. Here is your pancreas and your liver, and they play very important roles in our metabolism and also in the storage of our fat. And these yellow squares right here, these are sugars or little glucose molecules. And this is basically what our foods are made up of, the foods that contain carbohydrates. They are made up of sugars linked together either as short little chains called simple sugars or as longer chains called complex carbohydrates. But the bottom line is every single one of these carbohydrates is still made up of sugar. That's its backbone. So whenever we eat or drink any of these carbohydrates, like bread, cereal, rice, pasta, cookies, crackers, cakes, donuts, chips, tortillas, bagels, waffles, candy, soda, fruit juice, and so on, every single one of them gets converted into sugar, which then becomes sugar in your blood. So basically, you eat or drink these foods, they get digested, they all get chopped up into little pieces, and shortly afterwards, this is what your blood would look like. It would have a lot of sugar. And that's perfectly normal. That is what's supposed to happen as long as it's happening in moderation and not in excess. What's supposed to happen next is that your body recognizes that you have sugar in your blood, and it would really like to get those sugars into your muscle cells so that it can help them out. So your pancreas gets a signal to make insulin, a very, very important hormone in our body. And in this picture, we show it as a little key. So your body makes these little insulin keys, and they travel down through your blood, making their way to your muscle cells. And when they get there, they knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. You have to use your imagination. The little purple guys, or the glucose receivers inside of your muscle cells, are supposed to hear that knock, come and answer the door, unlock the door, and let the sugars get inside. And now everybody's happy. Your muscle cells are happy because they got energy, and your blood's happy because it got rid of some of those sugars, and it's more back in balance where it should be. And that's how it's supposed to work. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. For many people, especially those who are struggling with their weight, especially extra weight in the belly area, it's likely that they have a condition called insulin resistance, which is basically pre-diabetes. And what happens with insulin resistance is basically your body is on overload. Maybe you've had too many carbohydrates going into your diet, maybe not enough exercise, and your muscle cells have started to become resistant to insulin. So when your blood sugar levels go up after a meal or a beverage, and you make insulin keys, and those insulin keys come knocking, knock, 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 these little purple guys, they don't even hear the knock. It's like they have headphones on or something. So they're knocking, the insulin keys are knocking, trying to wake up these glucose receivers, but they're getting no answer. So the pancreas looks around and says, well, shoot, this isn't good at all. I really need to do something to get these sugars out of the blood and into the muscle cells. So it starts to overproduce and make a whole bunch of extra insulin. thinking it has to do whatever it has to do to get the job done. And before you know it, you have a zillion of these guys beating down the door. Knock, 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 let me in, let me in. Finally, you're able to overpower the system. And these little glucose receivers, they grudgingly answer the door. They're like, yeah, fine, I'm coming, hold on. And they do eventually unlock the door, and they let a few of those sugars get in, which is mostly good. At least you got some of those sugars in, but there's a price to pay for that. Your body now has an excess of insulin, which in and of itself is a risk factor for heart disease. But what else happens is those insulin keys go and gather up the rest of the sugars, and they really need to put them somewhere. They try to put some more into the muscle cells, but they get full. They're like, sorry, we can't take any more. Sometimes they actually end up storing a few too many in the liver, and that can be dangerous as well. If you have too many refined sugar stored in the liver, they can combine with fats and form a triglyceride, which raises your cholesterol levels. But you still have some left over, because only so many can be stored there as well. And here's what happens. They get stored as fat right in the belly area. So they have to go somewhere, and this is usually where they go, which is pretty much one of the signs of insulin resistance, is carrying extra weight in the belly area. So even for that reason alone, we'd like to take care of it, but as you can see, it's having a dramatic effect on many areas of your body. And what happens if you don't pay attention to this, let's say for example, you choose not to do that with your foods, not to pay attention to your carbohydrates, and you keep ingesting extra carbohydrates through the years, eventually you start to wear out your pancreas. And so when your insulin keys come knocking and there's no good answer, your pancreas is really pretty tired. So it says, well, here I can give you a little bit of extra insulin, but that's about all I have. I've been overproducing for years, and I just can't do that anymore. And as a result, your blood sugar levels tend to stay high, and very often that means a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. So if this is what you've been struggling with, as so many people have, don't worry, we have solutions for you.